What's up guys, it's Widgeon TV here. Falling back from Camp Venture, just like the Brotherhood did before us, we finally reach Fort Defiance, the Brotherhood's fortified headquarters. The story of Fort Defiance doesn't start with the Brotherhood though, it starts with the building they're occupying. Before the Great War, this Gothic manor was called the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, and in real life, this building still stands today. It is known as one of the most haunted buildings in the United States, so hopefully we get some ghoulish vibes from this place. Approaching from the main gate, we can find papers strewn all over the roadway labeled Notice of Expulsion. You are hereby given notice to vacate the Allegheny Asylum, effective immediately. Acceptance of this letter legally certifies your acceptance and understanding of the letter. If you fail to accept relocation, you may be imprisoned by the local authorities. Failure to accept relocation includes remaining in your room past midnight tonight. If you have an emergency contact on file, they were notified of your expulsion, and may be on hand to pick you up. You may wait for them outside of the fence until midnight. After midnight, your continued presence will be considered failure to vacate the premises. Please refrain from causing damage to the premise as you leave. Legal action will be pursued and you may be sued for damages. If you have any possessions in your room, they must be removed at the time of your expulsion, or they will be considered forfeit and destroyed. Our staff will be present to help carry your belongings. Thank you for staying with us at the Allegheny Asylum. Mr. Benjamin Yates Ruthage. The large amount of notes on the ground suggest that everybody in the facility was kicked out at some point, but without a date on this notice, we don't know if that was before the bombs fell or after, and if it was before, why was everybody kicked out? Hopefully we can find answers inside. The first thing that we see when entering Fort Defiance is a fortified partition set up by the Brotherhood. Through a hole in the wall and on an old desk, we find a holotape labeled Hospital Report Staff Incident.
Hospital incident report. Resident psychiatrist, Dr. Kessel. One of the junior nurses has suffered a nervous breakdown. His assignments included patient 5A3, whose afflictions manifest in habitual self-harm. Patient 5A4, who, while not violent, does aggressively grab and paw at whoever is trying to administer care. And also patient 5B7, who breaks down into loud, unconsolable fits of crying, with no apparent cause or trigger. That, and the constant attention and sanitary cleanup required throughout the day for all of his charges, was too much for the young nurse. We found him standing outside the door to one of the patient's rooms carrying a tray of food, but not moving anywhere. One of the other nurses noticed he'd been standing in place for over an hour. When he finally responded to our attempts to get his attention, he seemed surprised that any time had passed. During our exit interview, he broke into tears. He wanted to know if something was wrong with him. Maybe he wouldn't appear as a patient. I explained that nervous exhaustion was a common ailment, especially for hospital workers. Maybe after some months of rest, he could reapply for his job. That didn't seem to console him.
Yikes, even the staff are losing their minds in this place. It sounds like the patients in this place were pretty hard to handle. On the opposite side of the entrance, we can find another holotape. This time, it's by a member of the Brotherhood named Hannah Da Silva.
Recon notes to self. I knew it. I remember coming here on a school field trip. Walls are as strong as I remember. Paladin's gonna love it. Power lines run underground and connect up to Thunder Mountain. And so much space to grow into. But boy, is the whole thing a fixer-upper. And the smell. And there's the small problem of the ghouls. But we've got power armor and miniguns for that. Do I want to live in a madhouse? Well, it's better than being crammed in like sardines at Venture. Da Silva out.
Da Silva says there are power lines running to Thunder Mountain. We will soon find out that she's referring to Thunder Mountain Power Plant. The Brotherhood is occupying that facility in order to provide power to all their Appalachian affairs. Next to the desk that we found the holotape on, we find another desk, this time with a terminal on it, labeled Da Silva's Terminal. So Grant shows up and starts running all over, checking every room, the generator, the elevator, everything. It would be impressive if it wasn't so exhausting. Then Grant starts asking a million questions. How many breaches in the wall? How many doors? Unsecured windows? Then he says we're abandoning this whole wing and the first floor. Has he trekked up to the second floor? But he says he can get the elevator running again and even install some military security stuff Squire Weber found on a salvage run. So in a day, everything we were planning for Fort Defiance is tossed out. Oh, except the name. That's the one thing Grant liked. It sounds like De Silva was one of the first people to occupy this building. It also suggests that Camp Venture existed before Fort Defiance. I was trading war stories with the guys on the roof last night when we saw the craziest thing. It was like some sort of flying bat flying in from Watoga. I guess we thought there was nothing living over there, unless you count those murder bots. The thing flew straight towards us, so we opened up with the miniguns. I think we literally scared the crap out of it. That was real, right? The Cranberry Bog's gotten so very, very strange. Their first encounter with a Scorch Beast must have been terrifying, and she says they scared the literal crap out of the Scorch Beast with their miniguns. If we go back outside Fort Defiance, just past some fortifications, we can find a huge pile of Scorch Beast guano. She must not have been kidding. The first floor is clear of ghouls. It's a disaster area. But with a little elbow grease, we can each have our own room. It's a little scary at night. The others weren't raised with stories about this place. My guess is in a week or two, we'll be ready for Scribe Grant and the others to come on over. The boys and I have started calling the place Fort Defiance. It has a nice ring to it. So that's how this place got its name. The group of people doing the dirty work got to name it. It's pretty nice. Back in the main hallway, we find a door that's locked magnetically, so we're gonna have to unlock it. Following this cable, we see that it heads into the east side of the building, so that's where we're headed. Pushing through the enormous amount of ghouls on this side of the building, we can find some pretty great loot on this side. If you need things like plastic or aluminum, this is a great place to come and scavenge. Coming to the end, we can find that cable that we saw earlier. It leads to a power switch. After we flip the switch, we can jump back down to the bottom floor and finally pass through the locked door. Right through the doorway, we can find a note pinned on this bulletin board. Generators out of fuel. With all the Scorch Beasts, not sure how long the boys at Thunder Mountain can hold out. If the AAAs go down, we're all dead. For anyone that reads this, know I tried my best. We all did. The Brotherhood of Steel held the line as long as we possibly could, but the Scorch Beasts keep on coming. I'm running out of time, so please listen. If the Scorch Beasts are still a threat, you need to get to the top floor. The security doors are top-of-the-line military security. Find a way past them. Do what we failed to do. Stop the Scorch Beasts. The power's flickering. Have to go. In the end, I get it. Ad Victorian. Just like the responders, as we read this, we are witnessing the final moments of this person's life. It must have been so strange to write a note for someone to read after you die. Looking beyond your life like that must have been so surreal. Also knowing that you couldn't do anything about it, because the fall of the Thunder Mountain power plant meant that Fort Defiance lost power, dooming it to fall in just hours. As you can see, picking up this note unlocks several Brotherhood quests, including Back to Basics, which I covered in my Camp McClintock video. I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to watch that video. Below this note, we can find a holotape.
If you're hearing this, stranger, I'm dead. The Brotherhood is dead. But I'm relieved. Relieved there is someone, anyone, alive. I honestly don't care if you're Chinese, American, or whatever. You're a human being. Listen, I don't have much time. But the Scorched are more of a threat than you can ever imagine. You have to find a way past the security I installed. If you're former military, all you need is your government-issued military ID card. If not, find a way. I know, some ghost probably isn't very persuasive. But look past your own skin and consider there's so much at stake. We did. And that's why I'm going out to die. Ad Victorium. Scribe Grant signing out.
This tape is where you're instructed to go join the army at Camp McClintock. Like I said, I covered this in another video, so let's skip forward to the point in the quest where you have already completed all the necessary paperwork to become an official member of the US Army. So after completing those tasks, we head deeper into the Brotherhood side of Fort Defiance. After a maze of ramps and hallways, we find the Brotherhood staging area, where we can find an Overseer tape.
Overseer's log, Allegheny. A mental asylum as a last stand against the Scorched. Brave,
crazy. And crazy brave, the Army way. At least I'm pretty sure the Brotherhood had former U.S. Army members, judging by the security systems. If only they had survived. What I wouldn't give to have a few of America's finest watching my back right now. As it is, I'll have to find out how they were planning to combat the Scorched on my own. Once I can figure out a way through these doors.
Well, we're gonna have to find our way through these doors as well, but before we do that, we find another holotape on a side table.
Congratulations, Appalachia. Paladin Taggarty told me of your victory at Huntersville. I know it was costly, but future generations will thank you, as I am thanking you now. It makes me proud, but that's not why I'm calling. One of the Brotherhood's standing orders is being on the lookout for valuable technology, anything that would help us in our efforts. But as I look in every direction, I see chaos. The lights are out, and men have become little better than barbarians. Civilization. Civilization is something I think of every day. I know Lizzie's probably sick of the word by now. To rebuild that, to reclaim that, our successors are gonna need the secrets of the past. And those secrets are in danger of slipping through our fingers forever. So far, our scribes have been tools to help protect our knights and maintain our bases. That needs to change. The Brotherhood is gonna be more than an armed fighting force. We are going to be the guardians of civilization. So we have to grab every schematic, every holotape, every book, every goddamn note that holds the building blocks of the old world before it is too late. Our scribes will hold on to them, preserve them, perhaps even progress beyond them. And the knights will protect them like a hard shell around a precious seed. One day when the time is right, that seed will grow, and a new civilization will be born. This is why we were born. Don't you see it? Helping your fellow man is a good goal, a soldier's goal. But this, we will be the catalyst that changes the world. I'm sure you have questions. Paladin Taggarty is fully briefed. I have every faith in you, Appalachia. Elder Maxon, out.
This ended up being a duplicate of another holotape we found at Camp Venture. They must have been handing out copies in order to possibly boost morale. The note and the holotape we listened to earlier suggests that this morale boosting tactic was working. Scribe Grant willingly left Fort Defiance even though he knew he was going to die. That sounds like pretty good morale to me. We can find a few personal notes left by some of the Brotherhood members, left by their bunks. It's been so long since communication fell with Elder Maxon and Lost Hills. Paladin Taggarty is amazing, she truly is, but I miss the Elder. I remember sitting in Camp Venture, and he had a vision of some way through this hell on earth to something approaching what we lost. I can't imagine a better general than Paladin Taggarty, but what I'd give to sit down and listen one more time to the old man tell us what could be. I wonder why they lost communication with Elder Maxon. We know that Elder Maxon is using satellites to talk to Camp Venture and Fort Defiance from the Lost Hills bunker in California. Alright, we can finally move upstairs using the terminal to verify that we have joined the US Army. After verifying, we can turn around, pass through the laser grid, and head to the 4th floor. When arriving on the 4th floor, we're greeted with an Overseer tape.
Overseer's log, Fort Defiance. The more I travel this godforsaken wasteland, the more I realize what truly destroyed West Virginia, and what destroyed any chance the survivors had of actually surviving. Mistrust. All these divergent groups, responders, Brotherhood of Steel, whatever. Separately, they had everything necessary to beat the odds. Brains, brawn, and bravado to spare. And what did they do? Close ranks. Get paranoid. Refuse to work with one another. And it cost them all their lives. People of Vault 76, if you're listening, do not fall into the same trap. You find each other. You work with each other. Only together will you win. This is your overseer, and I'm begging you, please, save our country.
All three of the factions, Responders, Free States, and the Brotherhood, were in the end working toward the same thing, freeing Appalachia from the Scorched Plague. It's a shame that ego and politics got in the way. Next to some bunks, we can find a few notes. When Maxon first told us of the Brotherhood, I don't think I was alone in thinking he lost it. But time passed. Every time the radio fired up with the transmission from Lost Hills, the communication room filled up. Everyone sat around. We listened. We had years to think about it. And it doesn't matter what you call a man, it matters what you do. We are fighting for a vision of the future where we conquer this land, where we keep the means of causing another Armageddon out of the hands of the barbarians around us. I may have laughed then, but I'm not laughing now. I am a knight of the Brotherhood of Steel, and any mission will not be denied. Just like some of the notes and holotapes we heard before, this note is explicitly showing support for Elder Maxon. This knight is basically saying he'll do anything for the Brotherhood. In the same room, but on a different table, we find another note. Had the senior staff meeting today. I guess we should still call it that. Tex, Wilson, and I, that's all that's left. So many empty bunks. Through Tagerty's laser grid, I can just make out the old squad photo. Weber went on patrol and never came back. De Silva checked out in Huntersville. Tagerty and Moreno MIA after Operation Touchdown. It took 3 Scorch Beasts to take down Esposito. So the Thunder's just Wilson and I. Soon, there won't even be that. We can find the squad photo he mentions on Tagerty's desk. In that note, we also see Tex's name come back up. Last we heard of him, he was recording holotapes for loved ones back in Camp Venture. It's good to see that he made it into the Tagerty Thunders. Next to the squad picture, we find a holotape.
Lizzie, Takano says the satellite's failing. So, this is it.
Elder, I'm not ready for this. Can't the scribes do anything about it?
No. The infrastructure of the old world is failing, but you are the absolute best second-in-command I have ever had the pleasure of working with. Now is the time for you to be in charge, Lizzie. I know you're up for it. I know you won't let your men down.
Roger. We don't have the men for the mission. The Bravos just keep coming.
Then find new men. Think outside the playbook.
Elder, you trust the outsiders too readily. They will betray you.
You too, Paladin? Everyone around me keeps saying shut the world out, only look out for ourselves. Even my goddamn son. But the Brotherhood alone can't rebuild what's lost. We need them. Hell, our whole plan is for them.
I'm not thinking about some far-off future, Elder. I'm worried about today and tomorrow. We're fighting non-stop to keep the Bravos contained. I can't afford a weak link.
I trust your judgment. If our scribes find anything new, I'll see if we can get word to you somehow. And Lizzie.
Oh no, what was he going to say? The satellite must have burnt up in the atmosphere as they were recording this. He refers to Elizabeth as Lizzie again. If you saw my video on Camp Venture, I speculated that there might be something romantic between them, but we never got our answer at Venture. It sure sounds like we were about to get an answer here, but I guess not. Next to the holotape, we find Tagerty's terminal. If we sift through a bit of this, we can find a section on Fort Defiance. Camp Venture served us well as our base of operations, but with the new class graduating, we are ready to expand, so welcome to Fort Defiance. Let me address some of the concerns raised about relocating. The Cranberry Bog has formidable challenges, but by basing ourselves here, we protect Appalachia from them. These threats also act as a deterrence from raids and other intruders. It becomes our shield. The fort itself is indeed too large for our purposes now, but we won't outgrow it anytime soon. The previous purpose of this institution, some find distasteful. Noted. Now's a chance to clean it up and make it our own. For those who served in uniforms, you're used to toughing it out. For those who haven't, it's your opportunity to develop grit and character. Ad Victorian. So in the end, the Brotherhood's numbers were slowly whittled down by constant operations in Appalachia, making them vulnerable. And finally, when communication fell with Lost Hills and the disastrous Operation Touchdown, which we'll be talking about in a different video, there was little to protect Thunder Mountain Power Plant, and when it fell, Fort Defiance fell along with it. So there's the story of Fort Defiance, the fortified headquarters of the Brotherhood, a building with formidable walls with even more formidable people occupying it. Alright, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you've made it this far in the video, consider joining my channel's membership. You can get a cool little Mothman symbol next to your name, or for people who've subscribed for more than 1 month, get a Flatwoods monster instead. It goes a long way in supporting my channel, so thank you. Also consider following me on Twitter, it's the best place for me to keep in contact with you guys. But anyway, this has been Widgeon TV, thanks for watching guys.